Good evening, I'm Carly Vaughn and welcome to this week's edition of VTV News. On the broadcast tonight, the results for the VSG presidential election are in and Occupy Vanderbilt has begun. But first, Impact 2012's wrap-up of this week's lecture series. With more, here's Scott Head.
This past week, Vanderbilt welcomed 5 distinguished political leaders from the United States and Mexico to meet, speak, and discuss current global issues in the annual Impact Symposium. This year's theme was Rise of the Rest, What is the Future of American Foreign Policy? And Tennessee Senator Lamar Alexander started off the week Monday night by discussing energy policy and how it relates to foreign policy. Energy policy was one of many themes carried through the week, as former Utah Governor John Huntsman and General Wesley Clark continued the energy discussion, along with the topic of our country's involvement in Afghanistan, Iraq, and China. Former President of Mexico Vicente Fox and former Governor of New Mexico Bill Richardson finished the week Wednesday night with a conversation about the country's relations with neighboring Mexico, the drug war, and immigration. VTV News was there throughout the week to cover this year's Impact event.
And I think we as a nation, we need a serious conversation, not the 30-second debate sound bites that, I was subjected to not long ago, but a real discussion about our interests in Afghanistan. So we as a nation, I think, need to have a conversation about what to do about that situation. And I think ultimately, we're going to have to call the powers of the world together and convene some sort of conference that designates Afghanistan as some sort of independent, neutral territory where we can actually collaborate as world powers in maintaining peace.
And I met a young investment banker who also doubled as President Hu's youth advisor. He said, for 200 years, he said, China has been taken advantage of by its neighbors. He says, no more. China is today a great power. We'll never be taken advantage of by our neighbors again. He said, but we don't include you Americans in that. We know that you Americans were great friends with the British, and they gave you leadership of the world. China, he said, wants to be great friends with America, so you will give us leadership of the world. China's about China. They want to grow. They've got 800, 900 million people who want out of subsistence agriculture. They want middle-class lifestyles. But I've always been concerned, I have to tell you, about the war on terrorism, because what I saw it used as a way of raising the consciousness of fear in the American public and using that fear to take away our sense of confidence and purpose and security in the world.
The topic of fear continued into Wednesday night's discussion between Fox and Richardson, where they also discussed immigration and the drug war.
You build walls when you have fear. And fear is not a good advisor. And very unfortunately, after September the 11th, at least for myself, I feel a sentiment of fear in this nation. But I still that we human beings have better ways of bringing solutions to problems. At the very end is related to fear of terrorism, but also migration. So we're real partners. We just have to have the capacity to see that we can do much more by working together than by building walls. We should build bridges of understanding, of friendship, of partnership. It will do much better to the future.
VTV News got the chance to sit down with the former governor before his talk and discuss the relationship between Mexico and the United States.
It's a relationship that needs more dialogue. We're neighbors, we're friends, but we often talk past each other. And I think governors in the states that have joined the two countries should be more active, more involved. On immigration, we need to work together. Mexico needs to do more to keep people on their side of the border, give them jobs. Mexico needs to do more to curb the cartels when it comes to drug policy, find ways to stop the violence. They're trying, but the effort is not succeeding.
The war on drugs is a total failure. Consumption keeps increasing. As a consequence, production in the black market and the money that nourishes and finances the criminals keeps growing. So we must have a new approach in trying to solve this.
I think what we need to do in this country, and we're not doing it, is spend more on rehabilitation, on drug education. We need to spend more resources on training. We need to find alternative methods of treatment. I think this is one of these policy problems where for now there is no solution. Maybe there is. And maybe our scientists and our bright new policymakers emerging like you guys can think of ways to make the situation better. But I am admitting to you I have no solution on this problem.
On top of encouraging students to find better solutions to problems, the speakers had many other messages for students to take home.
Please, when you get in a position to influence this, do not believe that when you drop the first bomb or you send the soldiers in, they can solve the problem. It's too hard for diplomats. Let's send in the military. God, if I've heard that once, I've heard it a dozen times in government from people who don't know what they're talking about.
If people with your education from a great institution, you've got an enormous head start in life, if you're not willing to step up and embrace the challenges, that doesn't say, a whole lot of good about the future of the nation.
I thought that both speakers were really interesting, and they provided a lot of in-depth insight that you don't get otherwise when you're listening to the news or something like that. So it was great to hear them.
Oh, I thought Impact last night was great. Governor Huntsman was great. General Clark was great. I love the discussion about the future of China and their economic policy, as well as the history of our involvement in Afghanistan. It was a very interesting discussion, and this was great for the year.
Thanks, Scott. Yesterday saw the announcement of this year's winner of the VSG presidential election. Mary Clay Maynard and her running mate Mark Cherry defeated MacArthur Gill and his running mate William Schreiber by garnering a majority of 50.3%. With only 94 votes separating the candidates, this election had the closest margin of victory in Vanderbilt history. The small margin reflects the close race the two tickets ran throughout the primary election as well.
I'm very happy. I talked to my team beforehand, and I told them that I'm blessed to have such wonderful friends in my life because it really was because of them and all the support that they showed that we won today, and I won't ever forget that. So.
This morning, both Mary Claire and Mark stopped by Morning View to talk with John Rice about their victory. Here's a look.
I do understand that might be, a thought process for many because I followed a path that a lot of say, it seems like a ladder path from Hank House president to senator of A&S to vice president, and then here I am today with Mark. But really, this decision was a tough decision to make because this job that we're about to take on is no easy feat. Not only is it no easy feat and you give up so much of your time, which we're so happy and excited to do for all of our classmates and friends to make this school a better place, but it also comes with a lot of challenges. There are going to be a lot of tough decisions to make down the road, and we're willing to face those head on, and we're willing to just do whatever we can to keep working for the school and keep promoting this mission of making Vanderbilt a better place. And I don't know. What do you think? When did you call this decision in your mind?
I'm not sure I ever called it until Mary Claire sat down with me and offered me the chance to run with her as her vice president. For me, that was a great night. I talked to her before about how I would support her in any of her endeavors because Mary Claire's been impressing me since we ran against each other freshman year for the position of senator. Ever since then, she's been impressing me, and I was just so happy to see that she was deciding to run for president, and so honored to be able to run with her.
This past Monday, Occupy Vanderbilt began with a rally attended by approximately 100 students, faculty, and staff. With the full story, here's Nicola Chilota.
because we realize that some workers are still being paid below the poverty line, and there's also related loopholes with basically, not hiring them all year long, and so not being able to, they're not able to list as full-time workers, loopholes like that. And so it's just part of this trajectory of escalation, trying to make both faculty and students more aware of what's going on.
The beginning of a long process.
This is the beginning of a long process.
So if you see someone that gets upset, if you see a Vanderbilt police officer come,
if
if the grounds crew wants to check on the sprinklers,
your
professors want you back in class, be patient with them. And let them know. We are all in this together.
Thank you, Nicola. Well, that's all for the broadcast tonight. For more on these and other stories, check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/VandyTV or VanderbiltTelevision.com. For all of us here at VTV, I'm Carly Vaughn. Good night.